All right, well, welcome everybody. We got a very special brunch episode of the Confused Breakfast. We have Kevin Clancy on the show, otherwise known as KFCbarstool. Now, listen, Kevin, I got to tell you, I've been following you forever on Instagram, and I first want to read your Instagram bio, and then I'm going to tell you why it's absolutely perfect. It says, I'm the 1 minute man, the most relatable voice for internet news and viral content. Follow for daily takes in 60 seconds on stuff you don't want to Google. I think it's important to note that, like, if an important news story breaks or viral content happens, we've all been there. You start to be like, oh, I should probably try to figure out what's going on with this. And you get on X, you get on Google, you find a news outlet, and you're like, oh, here's a link. Let's see what they got to say about this. And it's pure garbage. 5 minutes of like ads and going, did I write this? I actually didn't learn anything from this. You are literally the only person that anybody needs to go to right now for any sort of information. You absolutely are, man.
Can the rest of the world hear that, please? I need that. Let's go. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I've, that was not like my goal to become that person, but like it has, I hope. And I love hearing that. I get often, a lot of people say I get my news from you, which, it's good for business. I don't know if it's good for the world if I'm the news, of course. And I also have some people say, like, sometimes I don't even form my opinion until I hear what you have to say. Also, again, good for business. Probably not the way you want to live your life, though.
Yeah, but you're very unbiased about it. Like, yeah, I know that you believe certain things and go certain ways, but I don't ever feel that. Like, I feel like if, let's say it's some story about two different sides of people, you're going to go after both of them. Be like, that guy sucks. Here's everything you need to know. And I'm like, it's so just important nowadays that we can get our information that way.
And also, I kind of, it's really natural. Like, it's not like I'm hiding my opinion for the sake of being neutral. Like, I often am pretty down the middle in everything, politics, culture, sports. And, I feel like when I started my career, that was kind of like frowned upon. It was considered like boring and you're just placating people. You're a middleman. Nowadays, everything's gotten so extreme in all genres, all industries. I think people are actually appreciating someone who's just like, well, that guy was an asshole, but so was he, or it was good, but not that good, or, whatever it might be. I think there's a lot more people out there who are down the middle like that than on either end of the spectrum. So I think in this era, it's resonating more with people. But yeah, it's funny because I used to think like you have to go one way or the other. Yeah. And now I think people are craving, although I will say at the end of the day, the grifters who just pick a lane and crush it, like every day I wake up like, maybe I should just do that.
Yeah.
Get 100 million followers and $100 million. But I can't, I've done this too long where if I'm telling you something, it is my actual genuine opinion. I'm never just saying it for, the attention, the traction or whatever it might be.
I felt a lot of solace, especially with the hockey and Olympics coverage that you did, because I was all in on all of that, especially the hockey, obviously. And when they won, and I kind of felt genuinely like, man, this country's kind of great. Yeah. this rules. Yeah. Like I just felt like, oh man, that's awesome. And then the day later, maybe not even a day later,
not even a day.
And watching your content on that was, like I said, a lot of solace and brought me a lot of comfort because I'm like, fuck, man, God damn it, you can't like anything anymore.
Yeah, it's exhausting. That's the thing is like every time it happens, I'm like, here we go again. It's just broken brains on the internet, whether it's politics or some other, just applying these like extreme and kind of important concepts and arguments to everything, hockey, movies, whatever it is. We're seeing it with Chalamet right now. It's like, not everything is the end of the world. Let's just enjoy it, or just don't mix the two like so constantly, like it is always now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So are you in general, like the way we kind of connected, I think was you commented on a few videos of like classic movies. Are you in general like a movie fan? Are you only one of those classic movie guys? Do you love modern stuff? Like what's your history on movies?
I would say in terms of entertainment, I would say I do skew more towards TV. I'm more of like that would be my bag, but I love movies. I enter, TV movies, entertainment is especially as I've gotten older. sports for me. I'm a Mets, Jets, Knicks fan. It has not been a great run for my entire life.
Sounds like the Mets are going to have a good one, but yeah.
I've said that a few times, but where we end up. But in my older age, like, I don't watch as much sports as I used to, and that really all my time kind of transferred into TV and movies. I am for sure in everything: music, TV, movies, style, food, whatever. I'm a nostalgia guy. I'm a firm believer that I'm a part of the greatest generation, and the 90s was peak for humanity.
Yep.
And I think, much like my musical taste too, I think there really is something to your formative years. What you're watching and enjoying when you're coming of age is what really sticks with you. So when you asked me, like, what are my favorite movies, I think I rattled off. I don't think anything was probably within the last 25 years release date. That's not to say there's still a ton of stuff I love currently. But yeah, I'm definitely like, they don't make them like they used to.
I mean, we agree with that.
That's
mostly.
why we're here
Yeah.
talking about
I
80s,
think
90s.
the latest movie that we've covered, or like the most recent movie that we've covered, is The Social Network, which is hearkening back to older times. It's pretty much already being nostalgic, But you picked Dumb and Dumber for this, and I was just watching it for this morning just to kind of refreshen up on it. I'm like, I don't think I needed to freshen up on it just because it's so in my mind. The same thing.
I was like, I gotta watch it, and then I started it. I was like, no, I don't. I got this.
The version I watched was like with all of the deleted scenes put in.
I did that too,
and it really like dowers the pacing down a lot. Even though they're fun to watch, but like the theatrical cut, I think, is the way to go when it comes to that movie. Do you know much about the deleted scenes in there?
I don't, but I have a very strong stance on particularly comedies. I think all movies in general, runtime got a little out of control.
Yes, my friend.
Comedies for sure. If your comedy is over 90 minutes, I think you're fucking crazy. Like, I think when I look at my favorite movies, my favorite comedies, it's like Dumb and Dumber. It's old school. It's
Billy Madison. Yeah.
90 minutes, and particularly with Dumb and Dumber, I genuinely believe this. I think it's like one of the greatest accomplishments in cinema. It sounds so silly, but I one of my big passions when it comes to movies and particularly awards is that comedy is just like this redheaded stepchild, this like forgotten about genre. And I don't know why. I think back to like Shakespeare days. It was comedies and tragedies. They were like, those were the two things. And now, aside from like a Golden Globe, which is like the comedy musical hybrid, there's nothing to reward comedic performances, and I think that's nuts. I think that what Jim Carrey does in Dumb and Dumber, or even like The Grinch, or some of his other movies that are not like heralded as these amazing pieces of art, in terms of like acting and what he's doing with his body, his voice, his delivery, like I think it's just as good as any of the most dramatic, theatrical, important, deep movies. It's just that we're laughing and it's a joke, but I think they are masterpieces that 90 minutes, perfect performance, timeless comedy. I think that should be way up there in terms of appreciation with all the other types of movies.
We've talked about it a couple different times as far as Dumb and Dumber goes, and I think you nailed it. I think we've referred to that movie as lightning in a bottle multiple times about how that movie came together. And then not only Jim Carrey, which we've talked about his performance, like Cable Guy was one we talked about recently, how underappreciated his performance is in that, of what the lengths he went to go and be as outlandish against somebody like Matthew Broderick trying to be kind of that straight man, everyman. And then you bounce back to Dumb and Dumber and you hear about like some of the stories of Jeff Daniels getting involved in this. That movie doesn't even happen. That lightning in a bottle doesn't happen without Jeff Daniels playing against Jim Carrey,
and the whole backstory of how they wanted it to be another comedian, and they were like testing him to see if he was good enough, and Jim Carrey was the one who went to bat for him, and then Jeff Daniels knocks it out of the park. Like that's like movie lore. That's important. That was shaping a era of movies. Is his performance and Dumb and Dumber. I think all of that needs to be studied and talked about more, because I think I saw an interview recently with Jeff Daniels explaining that whole dynamic, And he said something, or maybe Jim, one of them said, if it was another comedian, they would have been competitive. Yep. They would have been going at it, trying to one up each other. It gets a little, it's not as organic. So like it, the stars needed to align for that movie to be perfect. And the fact that it did, and I think I also saw that the Farrelly brothers almost got pushed out. Like imagine Dumb and Dumber without Farrelly brothers and Jeff Daniels. It's like that doesn't work. So yeah, it's got there's a lot of depth to it.
Well, luckily Jim Carrey, because that famous, I will never see it again. In 1994, Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. Kevin, we will never ever see this ever again.
No, and like, it's the greatest year that like a human has had. You know what I mean? Like I tried to think of, like, Pedro Pascal had a big year a couple years ago, right? Like a few movies and TV shows, or like a couple singers put out a couple albums in a year. But like 3 of the biggest comedies of all time in a 12-month span, when also he was pretty unknown. Like it wasn't like established and we're going to go for it. It was like, I'm doing this. Oh, they're all classics and all legendary.
And thank God, because by this point now, Jim Carrey is the most well-known person in the movie business, and we will do whatever Jim Carrey does as kids. So if Dumb and Dumber had come out first, he wouldn't have had the power to say, no, it's got to be Jeff Daniels, and Farrelly Brothers got to do this. So thank God that one came out at the end, because I bet Jim Carrey said, it's, if you want me, this all needs to happen in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, all of it, like from In Living Color through that run. And then when he does, Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine, and like shows that he can really just like act. In terms of just the ability, the craft of acting, who's better than him in turn? Again, he's not doing like World War II movies or dying of cancer, or, things that are like traditionally so highly regarded in cinema. But the character that he just transforms into, like physically, mentally, emotionally, his delivery, all that stuff, it's, to me, I can't see how, to me, it's at least like the tied for the best performances of all time.
I totally agree. And with that kind of duo too, it really, really works. Like I couldn't see anybody else in the movie, because like what he did, Jeff Daniels did an episode of Frasier, and then did Speed. He played Harry in Speed, and then Harry again in Dumb and Dumber, and then did a TV movie, and then Fly Away Home.
That was
Fly Away Home.
They really took a I knew he wasn't established, but I figured, I mean, that's like nothing. That's practically a rookie. And I heard he took $50,000 for it, which is like so funny. Like
it's borderline taking a bath at that point compared to what Jim Carrey got on that production. I mean, it's insane.
But that's kind of like credit to Jeff Daniels too for not having. Well, I guess at that point in his career, he wouldn't really have any ego. But the fact that he was willing to put that aside and like prove it to them, rather than just being like, if you don't want me, I'm out. And it ended up being movie magic.
And really going for it too, because I mean, I think he kind of kept going in about every single day, and they were about prepared. It felt like in the first several days of him shooting his scenes, basically like, I'm doing these and hopefully I don't get replaced. They were almost shooting it like they were like, hey, if this doesn't work out, we can backtrack enough that we can just reshoot it again and with somebody new. And that's pressure on top of it. And then finally, I think I just read that like Jim Carrey was just like, you're doing great.
Right.
Yeah.
And just kind of gave him that stern pat on the back of like, let's do this, and it was all downhill.
Again, he doesn't have enough of a resume to really be this brazen, but you're getting paid nothing. You're getting paid $50,000. Yeah. You're getting treated like second class. They're forcing you to audition in a movie that you think is you're already in it.
Yeah.
It would probably be easy. And you look at the movie, you're like, all right, it's 2 guys who are idiots going across the country for like a ransom. Like, it would have been very easy for another actor to just say, you know what? I'm not worth it. Like this is kind of, you're basically like insulting me while not getting paid for a movie that's probably going to flop anyway. Mm-hmm. But, for whatever reason, he did stick with it. Thank God he did, because it ends up being legendary.
He has some of the best lines and moments in that movie, strictly because of what he gets to do against Jim Carrey. Obviously, all the quotable stuff we think of with like, with Lloyd Christmas, but him in the bathroom, how the hell are we getting past those are the moments, those are the lightning in a bottle moments of Jeff Daniels and him bringing that to life. Just the faces he makes when he's having the tummy rumbles in the car on the way to the date. It's just like, this is brilliant, man. I mean,
and
yeah.
For the fact that to me it's like a coin flip.
Yeah.
You know, you're opposite Jim Carrey as he's about to start his legendary run. And if you really like gun to my head, like who's the better, funnier, more likable character, like it's probably Jim, it's probably Lloyd.
Yeah.
But Harry's like right there, and to do that basically as a rookie is like insane to me.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got one question for you.
I know what this is.
Okay. All right. As we're really diving in, this is an important benchmark for us here, Kevin. Who is dumb and who is dumber?
Ooh. Oh, I would say it's funny because as soon as I have like an answer, I think about a moment. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I would say, I think Jim Carrey. I think Lloyd is dumber.
Okay,
I agree.
I think there's a couple moments where Harry is like, Harry is surprised by his stupidity at times, or like his recklessness, where he's like, you sold it to a blind kid. You spent the last money. You drove the wrong direction. Like, so a lot of that stuff, I think actually shows that even Harry at times was like, this guy's fucking dumber than me.
Lloyd
extra
can't read.
gloves.
Yeah,
extra gloves like that.
Yeah,
but
or like that IOU, that's $250. You want to keep that one?
The only arguments for Harry being dumber are the gloves. Like Lloyd clearly was smart enough to bring multiple pairs of gloves, and also Harry was the one that was like, the town is back. That he gave him the directions to the town. Couldn't pick up on that cue, but Lloyd can't read. He can't read. I think that automatically qualifies him as dumber.
Now the tongue on the freezing pole is
right.
also
look,
pretty
Frost.
stupid though. But yeah, I think I would have to go dumber for Jim Carrey, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I like I said, they're together, like it being like a road movie too is so much fun. I just love road movies in general.
That until this rewatch, I didn't realize, I was like an hour, maybe like 65% through, and they're not even in Denver yet. They're not even in Aspen yet. I'm like, because I wouldn't think of Dumb and Dumber as a road trip type movie, but the majority of it is two bros on the road in their truck. So yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. It's like the acts are cut into thirds in a way that like it are like locations. So they're in like the Rhode Island where they live, and then they go on the road trip. So that's the second kind of act of locations, and then they get to Aspen.
Yep.
And it's just like that's so comfy to me. I don't know why, but those two together, like I said, are so much fun. But then they get their individual moments too, like you were describing, AJ. Even like the skis. Both of them, like that kind of shit is so good. But I was watching it this morning, and I'm like, this might be the greatest dream sequence I've ever seen in my entire life with Lloyd. And oh my god, because it's just what he expects Colorado to be like. Everyone's wearing knit sweaters in a fireplace and stuff,
Did you
But
see?
it's equal parts that he thinks it's also California.
That's right.
So outside it's beautiful, like weather, and then inside they're wearing these sweaters by the fire. So it's like, when
it cuts to the dream sequence and he delivers that line that's like I don't know who she is, but I love your ski mask, and it's just like, what? It's just so bonkers, that whole.
We came in just on the punchline of the joke. It's just like, what?
Right. I thought the subtleties to me are in general, comedy and movies, everything. I think subtle humor is always the thing that sticks out to me. So like, I find jumping into that joke at the punchline and everyone laughing way funnier than pulling the guy's heart out or lighting the fart. Subtle delivery, and even at the very beginning when, how was your day? And he's like, fell off the tarmac again. When he says again, like the little things like that to me is like, oh yeah, these guys are incomprehensibly stupid.
And then again, you just have to build on that. It's like, I lost my job. It's like, man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense. No, none taken. It's just like.
Or when I'll bet you $20, I'll get you to gamble by the end.
Yeah.
That is so good. Like that is so good. And
I'm gonna get you.
It makes it like because if it was just like poop jokes and silly shit, I don't know if I could regard it as high as I do. But when you add, it's the perfect balance of like some really sharp, witty writing, along with like the slapstick stuff that I think is just so sorely missed in today's world. I know I actually didn't see any of these, but I was happy to see the new Naked Gun coming out.
Yeah.
And Spaceballs reboot. And so some of these, like, I think what we totally, and I know this is not a hot take, a lot of people would say this, but like the comedy is gone in the sense of like there's no roles like Jim Carrey's roles anymore, where it's like you're gonna stupid, you're gonna do physical comedy, you're gonna do slapstick. Everything has to be cool, witty, sharp writing, and it's like you do need all that, but also just like he's in an episode of In Living Color playing a character. I don't know why that's disappeared, but they both did it to perfection. So I think it's that balance of dumb humor and smart humor that makes it really that good.
Total irreverence to everything, like a movie called Dumb and Dumber is actually very smart. Like the jokes, like the timing and everything it's just so dialed in.
But that
goes back to the pacing. The 90 minutes,
exactly.
Not a single scene is wasted.
No.
Everything is either a very funny, just standalone scene, or it's integral to the plot, or even like something that seems out of place, they call back to it later, and you're like, oh, that's why we needed that scene. So like, I actually haven't seen the extended cut, but I would probably guarantee it. I'd agree with you that adding in that extra, whatever, half hour, 45 minutes, it's less is more in these cases, because it forces you to make sure every scene is effective or important or funny or whatever.
I had never seen it before. I had never seen any of these deleted scenes, and I found a version online, and I'm watching it last night, and I'm going, huh? And Sean's right. They made the right choices by cutting these things out. I'll tell you a few of them. They get to that diner, the excuse me flow scene, so perfect. They're going from joke to joke to joke. But in this one, Harry goes, excuse me, ma'am, my soda doesn't have any bubbles left in it. And the waitress grabs it and blows bubbles into it and hands it back. It's like, yeah, that's funny, but I'm so glad it wasn't in the real movie.
It's really shocking how much it like drags it through the mud.
Yep. And another one, they're in the heart-shaped tub. That nice little honeymoon. We get such incredible jokes in that scene. She sent me a John Deere letter. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. What's the matter? A little Philly break your heart? I was a girl.
I was a girl. Yeah.
These are so incredible. But that scene starts off with Lloyd putting a cup to the wall and listening to another couple have sex, and then there's this weird thing where he kind of like says, I'd fuck you, Harry.
Yeah.
Like,
if you had tits right now or something.
I'd split you in half or something. And it's just, they made the right call. They're like, nope, just right into the hot tub, talk about Freda Felcher and move on with your life. So it's interesting to watch for anybody out there, but
how long is the total theatrical or uncut?
It added maybe 7 more minutes.
Yeah,
8 more minutes.
It comes out to be like an hour 43 or something.
Okay, maybe a little more.
I'm not sure.
But see that.
But so even that, I mean, like it really shines a light on like the editing team and probably the unsung heroes of some of these movies that you get a good or a bad edit, it can make or break a movie.
I was going to say, like it just kind of is that testament to the pacing and that dictates. That is dictated by the editing. Obviously, there's plenty of funny jokes and material that can be had, but too much of a good thing is still too much of a thing. And
that is a song on the soundtrack.
Oh, is that right?
Too much of a good thing.
See, I knew what I was doing. I got that. But that's I think it's just a really great testament to that. And like you say, they are these unsung heroes, and I'm sure that has to be partly in favor with the directing, the reviewing the dailies, what's going to work, the pacing of something that as much as like 7 minutes. We just talked about like Punisher 2004. I don't know if like Thomas Jane's Punisher, if you've seen it or not. They have the extended cut was preferred by a lot of people, even though like I watched some of these scenes and I found some of these scenes and you're like, these are so out of place. They don't make any sense. They feel very forced, and I don't know why we're getting some of it. And yeah, it only adds 17 minutes, but it's like that's now it makes the movie feel 20 minutes too long, 25 minutes too long.
Especially, yeah, when you start to hit that like 2-hour range in a comedy.
Yeah.
Like if you're 2 hours plus in a comedy, I always go to Wedding Crashers. To me, is like the Wedding Crashers could have been, and I still love Wedding Crashers, but like Wedding Crashers to me could have been like old school 2.0. Like if they did 90 minutes, there's like a whole act of that movie. They're on the boat and like weird shit that it's just like we could have cut this whole thing. And it wouldn't have really changed anything. You know what I mean? Like, and that to me, I'm sure, you know, if you're the writer or you delivered the jokes or something, I'm sure you think all of this stuff is great. And, you know, in a vacuum, maybe it is. But in terms of storytelling and trying to get to the end, you need a outside editor to be like, it is good, but it just doesn't fit. There's a difference between it doesn't fit and it's poorly done, you know?
Right. Well said. Yeah. 100%.
So I got a question for you. You are a part of Barstool Sports. You know a lot of people out there. It's very East Coast. You know, you've got a lot of Boston Bruins fans probably amongst your team. Has anyone ever been able to talk to Cam Neely, who is the president of the Boston Bruins, and ask him more about being Seabass in a movie called Dumb and Dumber?
I would have. I don't. You know, I'm a New York guy. There is a lot of Boston people, but I started the New York branch of Barstool, so I don't have the Bruins and Boston connection. But I feel like Cam Neely had to have come across, you know, Dave's desk or somebody at some point. And if it hasn't happened, like we got to get it done because you're right. Like what a cameo, what a role.
The role of Seabass, my friend, is like maybe one of the greatest like short-term villains of all time. In fact, I've got a little trivia for everybody in here. Everybody knows Seabass's hat. Did anybody know what it says on there?
Yeah, like fuck him.
Line him 9 of 69.
Okay. So
that would to me, before you give me this trivia, that to me, he stood up and I couldn't even read it yet, but I knew it. And I thought to myself, the fact that I, without any hesitation, gun to my head, I could tell you it's Wine and Dine 69. That to me made me realize just how important this movie is. That like even these little trivia things I knew right away. But give me, what do you got?
Okay, so one of his little buddies at the table, 4 Boilermakers, you know, he's got a guy sitting across from him with a red hat on. I think it's red. Does anybody know what that guy's trucker hat says?
Oh man.
Make America Great Again.
Yeah.
It's basically the equivalent of it, but back in 94. This man's hat, I've never noticed until now. I paused it. I enhanced it. It says, happiness is seeing your mother-in-law's photo on a milk carton. Is what his trucker hat says. Hanging out with his buddy Seabass.
Like 2 minutes later, when he's playing the prank on Seabass that they're paying for his bill. Damn. You see the book that the cashier's reading?
Yes.
Of course you're angry, like family therapy for substance abuse or something like that, like chemical dependence or something like that.
Seabass said that? Well, if that fellow over there is Seabass, he's 2 foot a butt crack. It's like that sound cut when they're driving away.
So what happens in the movie? They get away scot-free or something? No, they catch up to him a couple miles down the road and slit his throat. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Slit his throat is, you could have said like he catches him and kills him, or you know, but like slit his throat and he delivers it with a laugh, and Harry's like, he did what?
It's like you could hear the van speeding up too because look,
the little details like that are so good. Like even when he does miss the Aspen exit and
it
Omaha,
says Aspen and Lincoln, Nebraska. It's like
that can exist.
Like 2 miles and 300 miles. Yeah. Why would that even be there?
What do you think about like revisiting this movie and seeing this Harlan Williams? Because we just talked about him. We did something about Mary, and there's that little Harlan Williams scene where he's the hitchhiker. But I love seeing Harlan Williams in this role. This is the first time I had ever seen him as the cop that pulls him over. But like this whole when he's peeing in the bottle and then he hands the bottle over to him and spills it on his shirt. The acting between Lloyd and Harry is absolutely unreal in this scene.
And also, it's not Harlan, but he's a part of the scene. Pull over Cardigan, one of it's one of the all-time great
quoted
punchlines in the history of comedy, funny in the history of the Thanks, but it's a cardigan.
Thanks for noticing. Well, and I think
the way he says that too, though, because Harlan Williams gets up next to him and says, "Pull over." He doesn't say it like pull over. It's like pull over, and it's just like no. It's
beer bottles. Like,
yeah.
You can see him. He kind of looks for a second, like no, it's
Yeah,
like that's happened to him before. Someone's pulled up next to him, like pull over.
Oh, I like what you're wearing there.
I have to imagine, because like there are times not to compare like blogging to a cinematic masterpiece like this, but there are times back in the day when I was writing a blog for Barstool, and it was like I have one line or one joke that I then build like the whole thing out of.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to imagine that they were sitting around just making a note like, wouldn't like a pullover, a cardigan, like, use the word literally be funny? To me, it just seems like that couldn't have like happened by accident. It almost is like somebody had that in their mind and were like, let's make sure we put him in a cardigan and we can use this joke. Because I just don't understand how that would naturally come about. I think it was so well done. That's the stuff that makes me love that movie.
That's an interesting point of how does it come along, because the amount of improv that also has to be allowed in a movie like this, but also is it something that you can simply build off of by saying, hey, we need a cardigan from wardrobe,
right?
And it's going to pay off eventually, trust me. How do you where do you find that balance? It's like,
let me ask you this in general about the improv scenes. I have a conspiracy theory. I got my tinfoil hat on. In modern days, I follow a lot of Instagram accounts such as yours and other ones that give like film facts and trivia and behind the scenes. And it seems like I'm always hearing a story that this scene, this joke, this thing was improvised. It went off script. And sometimes I'm like, were all of the great moments like in movie history all unscripted and just like, they're genius? Because it seems like I hear that a lot. And sometimes I'm wondering if like, let's just tell the people that was, movie magic rather than like, no, there was just lines and it was delivered. Because Dumb and Dumber, I think one of the improvised ones is you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world. They say not in the script. And like, if all those moments truly are an actor in the moment saying, I know what's funnier than this script and I'm going to do it, then I tip my cap. But sometimes I got my tinfoil hat on that some of those are embellished or exaggerated, because it seems like all of them are always off script.
That's interesting because I mean, like we have a term for it on this show. We call them lettuce moments, and it's based off of in the Breakfast Club when Andrew Emilio Estevez. They're eating lunch or whatever, and he's got his big sandwich, and someone like Bender says something, and the perfect moment, a piece of lettuce just drops out of his sandwich. Mm-hmm. Couldn't plan that. These moments, like we call them lettuce moments because like the cinema gods are just smiling down on a movie at this moment when it's so hard to make these fucking things. But interesting to think about of that being like more of a publicity kind of thing of like,
that was my thought for like we're gonna get a ton of likes or retweets on like the modern social media era, or maybe it's just that before we had access to all this information, I just didn't know how many things were unscripted or off the cuff. But man, I feel like every single day I'm seeing something that's like that was the director didn't know that was coming.
Right.
I think it's in the middle. I think what I'm guessing technically happened is like Jim Carrey did do that during filming and everybody like busted up laughing and they're like, actually, no, this would be a perfect joke, and now let's retake it a few times.
Do it the right way.
Yes. Because there's a few, like we just did Cable Guy, like we said, and that when Jim Carrey puts the skin of chicken on his face and says "Silence of the Lambs," like that was legitimately in the moment. He made that up, and Matthew Broderick is losing his mind. You can see him laughing and dying. If you're seeing people break in the scene and they still used it, then I think you're like, all right, that was truly improv.
That to me is like the pinnacle. Like I just think about how confident and talented you have to be, especially when you're once you've made it and you're working like, hey, that director is an Academy Award winner, or that script writer is the best in the business, and I'm gonna throw it in the fucking garbage and do it this way. That to me is where you realize like how good the greats are. It's almost like in sports where it's like I just went rogue and I took the ball myself and scored 50 points, and it's like you got to really know that you got the goods when you're surrounded by all this other talent and be like, no, we're going to do it this way. Yeah. Or at least we're going to try it my way in addition to,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To take that moment and just like you say, you kind of put it the right way. I know something funnier right now than the writer who really thought this whole thing out was.
For the last decade.
Their brain and
I'm
their heart.
bold enough to do it. Like,
Yes.
holy cow. Like, and you
It's
know
like,
what?
that's a good idea. I got a better idea.
And then we've also talked about it that like finally Dumb and Dumber after like during this run, Jim Carrey is one of those guys that when you get a camera on him, you don't stop the camera and
Just
you
let
don't
him
yell
go.
cut
Yeah.
until he's done doing what he is doing.
Until he's left like
Unless-
the set, like in the
Correct.
car driving away. Keep on that man.
Just keep the camera on him, because the other
Yes.
other big improv moment, right, that we all know is we've landed on the moon. You know, no way. If they would have cut while he's just walking to the door, that's gone. We don't get that idea. You know,
There's got to be, again, like, not to compare it again, but there are moments in Barstool videos, jokes, whatever. We're filming all day long, and then someone makes an off the cuff comment. It's like, oh, and we can't, and you can't recreate it because it was like, it was perfect in the moment. So like, always have the cameras rolling on a guy like that because you never know what's gonna come.
yeah, man.
I did have a thought this time around that I've never thought about, and truly how dumb these guys are. You know, they get in the argument. He drives a sixth of the way across the country in the wrong direction. They leave each other, and Lloyd comes back with the bike, and he's like, traded the van for it straight up. You know, like obviously.
Man,
When he does this little thing in his bike wobble, but what I was thinking, I'm like, a rational person wouldn't have traded the van for a bike. Like I actually went in and online, I said, how much was this van worth back in 1994, assuming 100,000 miles? Somebody said like probably $5-6 grand. You could have straight up traded that to somebody. 2 plane tickets from Omaha to Aspen were $300 a piece. They could have literally got on a plane, flown to Aspen with like $3,000 to $4,000 in their pocket.
yeah.
But instead, these total idiots are like, this is going to be the greatest bike ride across the country.
And that's another moment for me. The totally redeem yourself.
Yes.
Like,
And the missed high five.
I wish I could Men in Black erase myself just to hear that for the first time
dude.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hear it and you know it's coming, you know, but in the moment you think he's gonna chew him out, and totally redeem yourself. That is a blog joke. That and what's the other one I always use? Oh, there's a couple that we got no food, we got no money, our pets' heads are falling off.
Right, calm down, Lloyd.
Such crutches of mine for my own content. Like whenever the Mets or Jets are losing like 20 games in a row, I use the pets' heads are falling off. Or the same thing with totally redeem yourself when, you know, somebody does something stupid but you like it. Those are timeless jokes to me that can be applied to like anything.
Well, and that fact you just brought up too, I do want to bring up too that they are fun to watch comedically, of course, but they do get across their friendship very well as well. You do just enjoy them being together, and I think that is on top of them being like very dumb and not realizing that or even looking into it. They are about the journey. You know, they're more about like being together and getting there this way instead of just like flying a plane there and being
They
all
might
simple about
argue
it.
along the way, but they're still going to do it together.
They'll come back together. They know it. And like, especially at the end too, with it's kind of emotional, to be honest, because they just got each other and the song's playing. They're walking down the road. It's so good.
Oh yeah,
Dude, even in the beginning when they're living alone or living together and they're just broke and miserable and like, there is a emotional part to it, as silly as that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, all of those movies, you know, even like Ace Ventura is like so stupid, like what? A pet detective, but they really flesh out these characters and their storylines to the point that like you're rooting for them or against them. Billy Madison is such a
So stupid.
Oh man,
completely far-fetched idea. You're going to go to high school to get the company, but you end up like really falling into it. And I'm sure there are modern day examples of what we're talking about, but I just feel like they did it so perfect back then that it's not the same.
that's a good point actually too, because I think that sometimes becomes the folly of some of the newer comedies. Is like they insist upon the idea so much, even though it's something that's ridiculous. It feels like, let's talk about Billy Madison. Let's talk about Happy Gilmore. Like some of those. Let's talk more about, Ace Ventura, a pet detective. That's an outlandish idea. Like, sure, I'm sure it exists, but it's an outlandish idea. But it's not taken to the point of like really in your face. You just have to come along with us. This world exists in this movie.
Well, they bring across a compelling actual detective case,
right?
That they're invested in, you know.
And these stories, they feel easy to get invested in because they just believe it. Whereas now it feels more common that they spend time in a movie trying to convince you that it's something that you need to believe in. Where it's like, why do that? You know,
like some of to go back to Wedding Crashers as an example, like it's funny, but like at the heart of it is like it's a love story. It's you know, you're crashing weddings, but the notion of like two completely idiotic guys falling into a ransom plot, or a hockey player trying to play golf, or Billy Madison trying to get through high school, the inherent plot and framework is comedy, is funny, is an unrealistic, stupid thing, but then they're going to make it, you know, seem real or functional enough. And I just can't think of many new ones that are like, I do here. I wonder this. Let me ask you this. If like a Dumb and Dumber movie came out today, I don't know if I would like it as much. Like I'm trying to just be honest about it. If I saw a movie today with the new superstar going like, I might be like, this is so over the top and like stupid. So is it that I was growing up with it? Is it that I love Jim Carrey that I kind of not suspend disbelief, but like maybe my standards are lower? Or is it that they do it better than everyone else, so my standards are there? Because I do think that like if you were to tell me, watch this movie today, that is complete idiocy, I don't know. I might judge that harshly, whereas I think Dumb and Dumber is a masterpiece. So I don't know what that is.
It's such an interesting thing to say. A new Dumb and Dumber, not like the remake, and we don't know.
We've never seen Dumb and Dumber before, and now it comes out.
Yeah, right. That is an interesting take, because like
this era because I do think this generation and the new vibe of entertainment, like cringe is like the ultimate. Don't be cringy, don't be uncool. That's why I think all of the comedies are usually like I said, the plot is not a comedic idea. It's a normal thing. And then they just try to get you with like witty writing and clever jokes. And I love all that too. But there's a fear of like, I'm just going to be the guy with the bowl cut and the chipped tooth, with the stupid name, doing stupid things, because then I'm not like the man. You know, I think that people are a little too cool for school these days, where you need to get back to like, it almost feels like, you know, I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of these movies that we love were SNL people who like blossomed. Because it's like, this is kind of an SNL skit idea that we can just flesh out to an hour and a half, you know?
Totally.
So I wonder if they're even if somebody wanted to try to pull this off today, like, could it happen? Because it would be cringe or lame or some shit like that.
Somebody just said like, I can't remember who the quote was from. I apologize. I feel like it was during an awards ceremony, but they mentioned how somebody told them that embarrassment is a very underexplored feeling and notion anymore when being on stage or doing a performance of sorts.
Interesting.
And it's like embarrassment is a very underexplored emotion, I think is what they said. So I apologize if I'm just completely butchering the idea, the sentiment, but it's true though, and that like it kind of speaks to what you're talking about. It's like nobody wants to go that far, that Jim Carrey length, and that's anymore.
Where I go back to what I said at the top. Like at the end of the day, acting is just like, which emotion are you conveying on the screen,
right? And
why do we put such a premium on like sadness or you know, despair, or some of the bleak, deeper, quote unquote, deeper things, where it's like shame and embarrassment from being a total moron on camera, to me is just another emotion.
Right.
And these guys are masters at conveying it, but we just don't put the same weight on that performance. Like, I don't know. If you told me you wanted to nominate Jim Carrey for Best Actor for some of these performances, it's like, in terms of acting,
he is.
Yeah,
I think he's doing it. I think what he does in Liar Liar, when he's like lying back and forth, like incredible. The way he became the Grinch is incredible. All of these things that I think are just as good as like he, you know, lost weight for his role as an AIDS patient, or he was in the internment camps in World War II. Like I get those are more important, but I don't think they're necessarily better when it comes to acting in movies.
I think that's what it is for sure. Is like a level of commitment to the bit, and not because everything like comedy nowadays, it just seems like it's ironic, and it's like not fucking funny. It's like
no,
even down to Jeff Daniels too. His performance, he's just going for it, and especially like in that scene where he's going that. Gift that. If like there was an actor today doing that, you would see a seam there. I feel like with Jim Carrey, he is just going for it, and like you said, they're not cutting, and he's not going to be done until he's just feels like he's done with it. Not a level of hesitation from him whatsoever.
In Pet Detective, when he does the. Now let's see that in reverse.
Yes. It's one of the greatest things ever.
It's like why this man is speaking backwards, moving backwards.
He's fully committed to it.
You're rewinding and fast forwarding your TV. That to me is a physical performance that is up there with any action hero or monologue delivery or whatever other scene. That's just as good.
Yeah, if Leonardo DiCaprio can win an Academy Award for The Revenant, Jim Carrey can win for just that scene alone. Like, legitimately.
Well said.
And how about this? Why isn't there a best comedic performance? Why is that not an
Well, I can tell you why. It's because we are firm believers that there has not been a good comedy made since maybe 2010. There was a cut in the world that all of a sudden now you can't say things that you said in The Hangover. You can't make fun of different races. You can't make fun of sexuality. We all agreed, oh no, we can't do that stuff. And they have not. Like, I challenge you, what's a funny movie made in 2016? Like, we don't. What do we say the last couple were like? Forgetting Sarah Marshall,
Super Bad.
I think
The
Hangover
Hangover
is kind of regarded as I think The Hangover was after Superbad.
Hangover was like 08 or 09. Superbad was 04 or 07 or something like that. So
Superbad was 7.
I think in terms of like actual pure comedies, because I feel like it became like your comedy was just delivered in like a superhero movie or an action movie that has a comedic role. And that might be really funny, but it's not like a comedy. But I just can't. Everybody says this. It's a cliche. Comedy's dead. They don't spend the money, the budget, whatever. But like, if we're all saying it and all craving it, it's got to be there. So, but that's where I go back to my earlier point. Like, maybe if they put out a Dumb and Dumber, I would go, this is stupid. Maybe it was just like a perfect era, perfect time. And maybe, I hate to think this, but maybe it just won't happen again, or maybe not for a long time. Everything's cyclical. But I don't want to be hypocritical, because it's like, I think if you put that movie out, I probably wouldn't go. And then they're like, this is why we don't make it. Because it's funny.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, you were 10, 12, 14 maybe when this movie came out, somewhere in that range?
94, you said, right? So I'm
9. So I was 12, 13 or something like that. And I mean, like, there was something unbelievably special about the mid to late 90s. It was a great time in the world. There was mainly some peace going on there. We talk about when you get into the late 90s, the only conflicts we could come up with were corporate America. Like, that's what The Matrix, Fight Club is like, we hate ourselves and our khakis, There was
everything else is pretty good.
and I do think that's why we were here, nostalgia. We were just alive during this time of where people just got to kind of put stuff out there, and we all got to talk about it with our friends. And someone said, have you heard about this movie? And you go, no. And then they're like, come over to my house. We rented it from Blockbuster. We'll watch it together. And we just don't have that anymore.
And I know every generation thinks this about the generations that come after them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this all first started happening with music, TV, movies, I was very cognizant of that. And I was like, listen, we're just like everyone else.
Yep.
And now there's been enough time and enough evidence that I'm like, I think I'm objectively right when I say my era was better, because certainly with music in my mind, I'm a rap fan. So like certainly with rap, and like I do think there's something to that. It was just, I don't know why. Maybe it was not, the internet hadn't really established. Maybe it was just that the world was more peaceful, whatever. It does feel like it was objectively better and well done and more gripping. Maybe that's silly. Maybe I'm a boomer or whatever, but I think it's true. Like, it just feels
there's definitely a point to that too. And like nowadays comedy, it seems like, I think one of my picks would be like a last great comedy to me is Game Night with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. Truly funny. Jesse Plemons' supporting role in that is fucking top tier. Really funny. Check it out if you haven't. But a lot of the comedy nowadays seems like existential with like Robinson.
Tim
Robinson. Yeah, and like movie Friendship and his show
I Think You Should
Chair
Leave.
Company and I Think You Should Leave. It's very existential and very internal and very nervous and very like, almost autistic in a way.
It's very anxiety driven.
Yeah, and that's where kind of like everyone's kind of gravitated to. And I enjoy. Of course. I think he's amazing, but I think there's not a lot of movies you can make about that. It's not like a lasting kind of thing. Like you can't really be ridiculous so long in that kind of vein, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
But here's one question to your original thing. Like, I do feel, I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter. I do personally believe that in 10 years, I can put on Dumb and Dumber and they'll be like, this is hilarious. Where that goes to your point to where I do think it was just lightning in a bottle, because if that movie also came out for real in 10 years, I think we'd all go, yeah, whatever. But to show them this 40 years later, they'll still think it's awesome. So that's
and that's the only, I think, like the only example of that. Any other time in history that your parents show your kids something that they liked, they go, this is fucking lame, Dad. I don't care. I showed my kids, I haven't done I think I showed them Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. Pet Detective worried me with the ending, with the,
Why are they mad, Dad? What are they so mad about?
Yeah. A couple things I haven't quite shown them, but everything else, all of the sports movies, Mighty Ducks, Little Giants, Movie of the Year. I showed them Rocky 4, so some of the action movies, and they say to me like, Dad, what else do you got? Show me more of your content. I don't think that happens. Like, when my parents sat me down to try to show me something from like the 70s, I was like, get this out of here. Or this music stinks. I think there's a reason why. Even like it sounds like this generation, you go out to like a club, the music they're playing is our music. The movies that are being remembered or the stars, they're all getting reboots and remakes because like it was just this golden era. I think it was. I don't think it's just going to happen again.
I think that's a really good point, that it's like there has to be something behind and some sort of reasoning behind the idea why they're going back to this stuff to remake, why they're playing it, why
was Cobra Kai so freaking popular among the young kids?
Why does it work
every time? We complain, there's no original thoughts. It's all superhero movies and reboots. It's like,
right.
Well, it works for a fucking reason, man. So until that well is dry, maybe we need all these people, unfortunately, like pass away before they start writing original stuff. Because it's like, well, some of it is a little crazy. I'm like, I just saw there was commercials at the Oscars last night. It was like 3 straight movies that were all remakes. It was like Scrubs and then another one. I was like, I don't know if all of these need to be remade.
Malcolm in the Middle.
Middle World. Yeah, that was it. Malcolm in the Middle, that one. And then there was a third one. I was just like, we're not even trying anymore.
Not even trying.
No. And and I wanted to kind of say this too on that, just kind of on the note. It's like when we're talking about, when was the last great one? I kind of pulled up some stuff, and it just happened to jar this thought. But Ted is one that came out in 2012. If you remember that one, Seth MacFarlane. And I think it is a great comedy. I think it's very funny. But it makes me start to think like back these movies that we're kind of talking about, those ones they're just doing it. And we say like, well, we can't get away with some of the stuff and the content and what we were doing back then. And then now it's like, well, if we can't, the only comedies that we're going to get are the ones who are insisting that we do and almost take it really far. And it's like they're doing it on purpose.
I hate that. That my biggest problem with any content of any kind is if you're being inflammatory for the sake of being inflammatory, I can't. Mm-hmm. We get it a lot at Barstool where people say that we're, edgy or controversial. And at least from my point of view, every opinion or joke I've ever given, I truly mean it or think it or came up with it. And if it does ruffle your feathers, like that was not my intent. I think there's a difference with going into it. Like, I'm going to send this tweet, make this joke, write this scene that's gonna piss people off, and that's why I'm doing it, versus I think this is funny. Oh, okay, I realize I just offended half the population. Okay, my bad. But that intent, I think, is a really big part of it. And when there's nothing worse to me than being like, let's say this word or slur or do this gratuitous sex scene or whatever because no one else is doing it, so we're gonna go to 11. It's like the fact that no one else is doing it means you could probably keep it at like a 7 and it would still be really well received because we're starving for it.
Yeah, it seems like we're in an era where we have to justify ridiculousness, and Dumb and Dumber it never justifies any of that. You know, it just is, and you just observe it, and you can't not be entertained by it. You know, justifying all of that is just like, why? It's like, no, but it means this. No, it doesn't. Sometimes it's just ridiculous for ridiculous
there's no
sake.
deeper meaning. Like, I read that Jim Carrey on the set said something like, and this should be like the tagline and should be more, well known. He said, like, if there's something dumb in a scene, let's make it dumber.
Oh my God.
And that's that was the notion behind it, was just like dumb things, even stupider, versus, well, it has to be rooted in like reality or have a deeper meaning or whatever. It's like, no. I wonder, do you think that the internet, like that, maybe we get our fix of stupid silliness from like YouTubers and skits and skit shows where it's like, that's, even like Tim Robinson, I think, is better off kind of being like an internet character or short form as opposed to trying to stretch that into a movie. And maybe when we see that on a day-to-day basis, like, you're not talking about the most talented people in the world, but you see a guy on TikTok who has a running series where he pretends to be his girlfriend or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. And maybe that's just where we're getting that versus, it used to be the funniest people get together for a 2-hour movie. So maybe that's it. Because the only thing I think, if you're trying to come up with an answer other than it's just lightning in a bottle, the big development in that time was social media, not even just the internet, like the social aspect. So maybe that's where you're getting your comedy from, like random people, strangers, versus, the big movie stars.
I think you're totally right. Like I just came across an Instagram account yesterday it's a series, and he just films himself and he says, "Come with me to take a massive shit in IKEA." It's fucking hilarious.
And that would be a scene in the movie, right?
Exactly.
Like Harry taking a shit. But now
there you go.
All the quotable vines too. Like that's. I think you're right. That's where it went. That ridiculousness is just the short form now.
I once had a conversation with the comedian Ari Shafir, and he pointed out how we have like a lack of, because everyone's got your own algorithm, your own streaming schedule, nothing's even at the same time anymore. He said, like, why is it that all of my generation, if I were to say to you, I'm the man now, dog, like nobody saw Finding Forrester, nobody, like, that movie's nothing, but we, like, a lot of people just know that was Sean Connery in a movie scene, and maybe it was in the trailer or whatever. These like weird little things that everybody kind of just knew and were exposed to, and now there's just so much that, like, there's not a common relation. You know what I mean? Like, you might have seen one thing, I might have seen one thing, we can't talk about it, but we were all on the same page because it was limited content in limited forms and mediums. So I think that might be shaping kind of how the industry is today too.
It's a fun note on the idea of you say it now. It's like, hey, did you see the new episode of such and such? And you say, oh no, I haven't watched it yet. Rather than the response, what it used to be is like, no, I missed it. I couldn't watch it.
Right.
Yeah. And so
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah. And so like the idea is like, I'll just get to watch it tomorrow. But I'll make it a point tonight to go watch it. Well, you couldn't do that. There wasn't a time or a way to be able to do it. You had to make it a point to consume the content, to consume what you were wanting.
You had to sit
the
on the
show.
couch at a specific time.
Yeah. It's 7 p.m. Eastern, Central, whatever, and we're going to watch it. And did you see it and talk about it around the quote unquote the hypothetical water cooler? And have that conversation about that piece, that what you watched. Now it's I'll just get to play it tonight, and we don't have to be on anyone's schedule.
Anymore.
Yeah, I don't even care.
Of shows right now, probably like 4 or 5 shows that I'm consistently watching, and I'm always saying, is that a Friday show? Is that a Sunday show? Is that a Wednesday? I don't know when these shows come out. They're my favorite shows, and I couldn't even tell you the actual release date because I just get to them, kind of whenever I want to. And you know, in some ways that's awesome because you just have the world at your fingertips. In other ways, it kind of kills that water cooler shared experience, you know. And then spoilers and all that, you know, it's very hard to have the content around the content. The culture around this stuff is different now.
That's why I do enjoy like some of the stuff, like as far as HBO, they kind of do stick to their guns a little bit. You know, a lot of the Game of Thrones stuff, and honestly, pretty much the majority of like their series that they do. They do. It's a specific time that they drop new episodes, you know.
I mean, the Sunday night 9 p.m. HBO show is always going to be a thing.
I love it.
It is, you know?
It's great. And so, and then I wanted to bring this up because it seems very telling, you know, with the movie Basketball, if you've seen it. It's there is a line in there where Ted Denslow says to him, it's like people's attention spans can be measured in nanoseconds now. Very telling. That movie was 2001 or something. I mean, nowadays it's like even further than that somehow. And it's like it was just such a telling thing for being 25 years ago that it is. People's attention spans, they just do not align enough for people to be able to really want to go sit in a movie theater anymore. I don't know.
When I make my content, I'm making a 3-minute reel, and there are people who are like, I'm not listening to all that.
3 minutes.
Fucking minutes.
Yeah.
180 seconds, man.
I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'm like, Jesus, there's like 30 more seconds left in this video.
You're checking to see how much longer you got. I wonder if I could skip 10 seconds on this. It's like,
well, yeah, I mean that is a very real thing. And also, I mean, so are you guys are you movie theater goers? I mean, being nostalgic, you're talking about movies that are not in theaters anymore, so a lot of it is, you know, consumed at home. But for new stuff, do you make it a point to go to the movies?
I'm probably the one that does it the most. Yeah. I would imagine. I'm seeing new stuff as much as I can. The show does kind of.
How many times a year will you go to the movies?
A year? I don't know. Probably more than 40. I want to say. Okay, yeah. Something
there's
like that.
A lot of people at Barstool that like. I tell them they almost should create their own show similar to this. There's a lot of guys and girls here really go to the movies. I went to see Marty Supreme. I did a little like Barbenheimer with Marty Supreme and the Housemaid.
Oh,
Not exactly
nice.
the same level, but like I did those two, and then that was the night of the Stranger Things finale. So I had like 12 hours of content. But other than that, like I am very much on the couch at home. I'll wait for it. When it comes out, which also is strange because it changes my experience. Like I didn't see Sinners until it came out at home. And by then I was told it's the greatest movie of all time.
Yep.
And I watched it and I was like, okay, I guess, you know, we're just going to agree to disagree on this one. And then every time I say that, I get labeled as like racist and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
Like, by the time
Obviously.
I see the horses out of the barn, like.
But had you gone to the theater on day one, you might have actually come out of it going, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
And
like,
did that pre-hype affect you? You know,
probably. And I try not to be contrarian, but I know this about myself that if someone's telling me this is the best ever, I'll be like, oh, I'll be the judge of that, sir. You know, I do think that one particularly, like, I think it was a good vampire movie. I think some of the comparisons to Dusk Till Dawn are accurate.
Yeah.
So it's not that I think it's bad. It's just like there are people here who tell me they think it's the best film ever made. And I'm like,
oh,
we got
Dumb and Dumber here, okay? Dumb and Dumber is from 94.
The bar is up here from Dumb and Dumber. So, but all of this, you know, where you consume it, when you consume it, how you consume it, the length of it, all of this shit, I think drastically changes how you perceive a movie or TV show or whatever it is, for better, for worse, whatever it might be. But it's decidedly different. And I think producers and directors and everybody has to keep that in mind, which probably changes the way you make movies.
I have one last question for you regarding Dumb and Dumber and your content. Is Jim Carrey okay? Is he like alive? And
I mean, listen, any of these people are not okay. They're all, I mean, when you're in Hollywood as long as some of these people, and I
specifically the doppelganger kind of theory.
Yeah. I think I initially thought that's just like he's gotten a lot of work done. And because you see that a lot, like that,
of course,
there is a plausible explanation. Because sometimes you see people and they have become Jigsaw, you know, and it's like,
oh god,
whoa. But like there was so I didn't really see the internet's reaction when I first made that video. I was just like, I did the tinfoil hat, like joking, saying that it was a doppelganger, but enough people were like, that's literally not Jim Carrey. That I was like, okay, maybe, the eye color and all these things. I don't know, because I've thought about this so much where I'm like, the like lengths you would have to go to dupe a award show.
Yeah.
So it's either like, did Jim Carrey dupe them? Is he a part of it? Or did someone go rogue and trick them? Or is the award show in on it too? Or, there's so many different variations. And part of me is like, I just think in order to orchestrate something like that at an award show would be very difficult. Then I go back to like, I don't know, it was some random award show in France. So maybe it would be. Maybe if I just picked up the phone and I said, I'm Jim Carrey, I'm coming to your award show, they'd go, oh, holy shit, we got Jim Carrey because we're this award show, So the pieces are there to like prove that, of course, this is silly and no way. Or like, I don't know, there could be something there. But the eye color stuff, that got a little weird.
It's weird, man.
Explain, man. That's not just like, oh, I get it. Somebody has to explain that to me for me to really believe it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, got one easy last question for you before we go here. Top 5 sports movies of all time, in no particular order, if you don't want to.
Okay, well, I'll give you a few more, but I do have a number one, and I love this. I'm proud of this take. I think I'm like maybe the only person alive that has this take. I think the greatest sports movie of all time is Cinderella Man.
Really?
Okay.
Cinderella Man.
I think that movie is fucking perfect. I think it's got some of the best actors, best director, real story, like true story of involving like sports and the Great Depression and a comeback. And I think that movie is like just a great movie. And when you put it with the caveat of like just sports, I think most movies about sports that we love are really like rooted in the sports of it all. And I think that more has like human interest and life and real life ramifications and all that. So that would be my favorite. I love Major League. I think is probably my favorite baseball movie, right up there with The Sandlot. I think Remember the Titans a little bit overrated. I think a lot of people rely on that one. I think one of the worst ones is The Blind Side. I think that movie being an Oscar winner or nominated, or Sandra Bullock won for it, whatever it was. I think that's crazy to me. What are some other ones? Does Happy Gilmore count as a sports movie?
I would say
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's definitely got to be on the list then. But sports is funny to me because it's either like deeply moving, like amazing. Some things are bigger than sports, but sports, it was like, the Miracle on Ice type thing, or it's, just like silly Rookie of the Year. A kid broke his arm and he could throw 100 miles an hour,
Awesome.
Very versatile.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's amazing. We're so glad you took the time to hang out with us. Everybody needs to follow. I would love to do it again,
man. Please.
Thank you, man.
You've passed the movie test. You know your stuff. You're automatically allowed back after the first one. And you got to follow KFC Barstool on Instagram, because I'm telling you, anything that you need to know about, this man has you covered, guaranteed. Are you on TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff, or mainly Instagram?
Yeah, I do best on Instagram, but I'm on all of that. KFC Barstool on all of them. Let me give you guys one more question if we got 10 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm actually, as soon as I finish this, I'm about to finish a video I was making. It's based on Leo not winning Best Actor again last night, but wins Best Picture. His movie wins Best Picture. So he's got 3 Best Pictures as actor in a leading role. Very short list of people. Would you rather be Leo? And granted, it does make a huge difference that he's got the one, because he's got the monkey off his back.
He's finally got the one.
But would you want to be the guy who's always striking out for the individual awards, but at the end of the day has the best movie like every fucking year, or someone's won a few times, maybe a Daniel Day-Lewis the most, or you win the individual, but like your movies are not as well liked? Which one would you rather be?
That's interesting.
I got an easy one on that. I like where Leo's at on this one, because when Leo is done, his career is over, we will regard him as one of the greatest actors of all time because of his work. Like, we are big fans of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We think it might be his greatest role. One Battle After Another, we are big fans of. We loved him in this. Maybe his greatest he's ever been.
Dude. Yeah.
And
you know what? Sorry, keep going.
No. And I think if like this podcast could win all the awards, but like I didn't win like a host award, I could care less. I am a part of the bigger picture, and I want what I'm involved with to be popular and good.
I also think that's a better storyline and like dramatic legacy. Is would you rather be the guy who, hey, he won the most best actor? That's great. But I'd rather that there's every time my name comes up, there's a story of, can you believe he only won once, but he's got 10 best pictures and like it almost becomes, it's like a really great athlete who like isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But they get more talk and remembered more than the guy who is, because there's a story. That's why I kind of like the Chalamet didn't win last night, because I think it, you get motivated and grind to make it better, and there's a tale to tell for when you finally do win it or whatever. So I think, and then I took it a step further. Would you rather be a guy who has a breakout performance, wins an Oscar, and then like the rest of the career is nothing? Or you're one of those actors who everyone says, oh, that guy, and you don't know his name and he's never won, but he's in like 100 movies and has a really great long career. And you're like, oh, that guy's always the villain, or like, oh, that's that guy from that thing. So you don't get the personal recognition, but you had a really good career. Or you're the guy who, got to do the morning shows and the late night shows, and you had your moment of like being the best, but the rest is blah.
It's my dream to be that guy.
Yeah.
I
like,
think that's great.
It's like, oh man, that's that. Like
His
anytime
name's
he's
like Sheeran,
yeah, like Kyle Chandler or something like that. Every time I see him, I'm like, man, he makes so much. He makes everything elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me, and I think honestly, my direct answer to that is, it's probably, you probably got to shave off the last like 2 years, but basically Jesse Plemons. Give me Jesse Plemons' career,
Right.
and I would be the happiest person ever. I'm not sure what kind of awards he's won, or I know he got kind of a bit of a snub, I thought, this year. But then in the same vein, it's like, give me his career. That guy can do no wrong and elevates every movie that he is a part of and TV show. So
I think he's about to be, I think you're right, shaving off the last couple of years, because I think he's about to come into his own.
Yes.
Definitely.
I think everyone pretty much universally agrees he was snubbed, which I think kind of shows that he's on the right path to hopefully get one eventually. But yeah, like that, being that guy, I think is awesome.
He very much reminds me of
life, like, you don't have as much pressure, paparazzi, all that
Exactly.
stuff.
Correct.
I make movies for a living, but I can still go out to the grocery store. I think that's a great life to live.
That's the
Speaking
dream.
of one battle after another, the kind of guy of the whatever group that he's trying to get in,
Christmas.
the Christmas Chronicle people, whatever. He's in Ghost as a very young man, and you're just like, oh man, that's him. That's the guy. And he's just so good anytime he shows up.
It becomes the Leo. I want to be one of those actors who embodies the Leo meme, where you go,
Yep, exactly.
Well, you nailed it, man.
Dude,
we really appreciate you being here, and we'll do it again. So we'll go Billy Madison next time and just head down the road.
Please, let's have a regularly scheduled episode where I can just be an old reminiscing, millennial. Like, sign me up, man. I'm in.
Done.
I am older than everybody here, so I get to be that guy. You can be my next assistant, if that's okay.
I'll take the torch. Yeah.